Hi, I'm Joan Jett from the Blackhearts, and you're watching Artisan News.
Hey everybody, this is John Petrucci from Dream Theater, and you're watching Artisan News. Well, when we realized that Mike Portnoy really left and it sunk in, and we had to find a new drummer, we started to think about, well, how are we going to go about doing this, and who do we know that would be somebody we'd like to consider, and are there people that we don't know? I mean, we thought of all different things. Are there unknown people that are somewhere in the corners of the, practice rooms of the world's up and coming? And of course, there are the people that we know that we played with before, or we know professionally, whatever. And would they be interested? And we started to come up with a list, and we had, a short list. It was not too many people on there. And then we started contacting them. Would you be interested? They said yes, and we set the whole thing up. Some people we knew already, like we knew Mike Mangini, and he played on three of James's albums. And Virgil, I knew, he played on G3 with Steve Vai's drummer, and I knew him from there. And he played with Derek with his Planet X thing. And Peter played on James's latest solo album. But yeah, there was some guys, you'd ask a manager or a guy that they played with before, hey, what's the deal with this guy? Is he cool? Do you know anything about him? And you take it from there. Obviously, if anybody said something wrong, like, oh, you believe me, you don't want to deal with him, he's, druggy or whatever, right, then, yeah, you would obviously not go down that path. Well, we talked about that, pretty much from the beginning. The initial idea was, we have to film this. That was our first thinking, is that this, we can't just do this and have no record of it. We have to film this. And so you think about, like, oh, we'll give a video camera to our manager. But then when we started to really think about it, it was like, well, why don't we do this for real? Is this something that maybe the label would be interested in? And they were totally interested in it. And their production person really had some great ideas, hired an incredible director and film company to do it, and we went for it. We did it professionally, and I think they did such a great job. I'm so happy. I think it came out really classy. There was enough, really captured the intimate, real moments of what happened, because literally it was like just being there and a fly on the wall filming you. But they maintained respect to all the drummers involved, and it was done with a high level of standards, and I think it came out really cool. It's possible. I mean, obviously there's a ton of footage because we filmed everything. So we have, there's not a lot of music on the documentary. So there's all of the footage of all of the songs being played, all of the jam sessions that we had, all that was filmed. And you only got to see a little bit of that. So there is tons. If we wanted to, we could easily do some sort of extended version or something. No, of course we didn't know all along. It's just Mike was the first guy. And he was literally the first one to audition. And he came in there and he just knocked us out. I mean, up until that point, we had never played with another drummer. Dream Theater never existed with another drummer. We never played with another drummer as Dream Theater. So it's like the first time we're kicking into a song with a stranger. Not that Mike Mangini's a stranger, but and it just blew us away. I mean, that could have went any way if it was somebody else or whatever. And it was like, wow, we could have played these songs in front of, an entire audience, and it would have been perfect. And it would have been yeah. So he's just, he just has, I was saying it all along on the DVD, on the documentary, he just has all of the elements are just in place. So it's probably why it kind of came across that way. It was a very natural, chemistry between all of us. It's like one of us,
Right.
East Coast guy, Berkeley. It's the same. He's one of us. Yeah, well, Mike did a great job at maintaining contact with the fans and being very organized with a lot of our of the details that are going on. He was really into that stuff and loved to do it. And so there was a lot of sort of conversations as, okay, so how, I don't normally handle this, so how are we going to do this? And that's what it's just been about, a lot of organization. Some things don't change, and other things you're like, okay, well, it's something that Mike did before, so now I need to do that, or now maybe you can do that, or maybe that's something that none of us need to do, and the professional that normally does that will do that. And it's just sort of reassessing and reorganizing things. And a lot, in a lot of ways, it kind of like made me realize that maybe we needed some better communication in within our organization, the band, really knowing what is going on at all times. And so it's been good and eye opening in that sense. And so now everybody's sort of on the same page and knows what to expect in all these different aspects, which is cool.
Has it brought the rest of the band together closer than you guys have ever been?
Absolutely, yeah. It's because, I don't want to be over dramatic, but it's like you parallel to like somebody like dies in your family, it's like everybody kind of comes together and says, all right, this is really happening. This sucks so bad, but we need, what are we going to do? And you don't want to just lay down and die. You want to roll up your sleeves and face it and be positive as much as you can. So yeah, it's definitely brought us together. I think it's a natural thing that just happens in these types of situations. And like I said, everybody's been in very just a close type of communication and awareness as to everything that's going on and what we need to do to move forward. You think about those things. Yeah, I thought about that too. It's only really things that Mike could answer himself. What was happening in your life? Obviously him losing his dad was devastating and an important moment in his life, and people can change from those types of things. Whether or not it had any influence on what he wanted to do after that point, I don't know. Yeah, I think about that, sure. I think about a lot of things, but he's the only one that could really answer that, I can't speculate what's going through his mind. No, I have no feelings towards them that are negative at all. They didn't do anything wrong. I don't even know those guys, and they're just trying to have their career and their lives, and things happen for a reason. I know that's a cliche, but life is weird that way. There's certain things where you can't. You think about the series of events, what led up to something. Well, if I didn't make this decision, then this wouldn't happen, and this didn't happen, then that wouldn't have happened, and it just happens. And big changes happen all the time, and relationships and businesses and things that you would never. Oh, I could have never imagined that. So, of course, no, I don't hold anything against them at all. He hasn't really expressed that part of it, where he said, "Oh, I like your epics more than the metal stuff." So, he can kind of play anything. He's really the thing that I really like about him and his drumming style, and that was so important because a lot of those drummers were amazing drummers, incredible. But Mike Mangini he gets the whole rock thing, like the metal. I mean, we are a progressive band, but our basic sound is metal and rock, and you have to get that. You can't be a jazz guitar player plugged in through an amp with distortion. It's not gonna, it's not the same thing. You either understand that whole thing and you get it. And I love that because when we play our music with Mangini, it sounds so heavy and so grounded and locked. And that's great. But no, he hasn't really expressed that he likes a certain side better than others. Well, on this record, we didn't write the record with him. We wrote it without him. So, obviously Mike Portnoy wasn't there. Whenever there's not a member there or a new member added in, there's going to be some sort of dynamic change due to personality or musical style, whatever. But since we wrote this just with the core of the composers, which is, me and Jordan and John and James, it didn't. You won't hear Mangini's influence. You'll hear his influence as a player, because when he came in and recorded everything, obviously he put his unique stamp on it, even though he was learning the songs that we wrote. Yeah, you definitely, there's no way you can't notice a change. In many ways, it sounds like Dream Theater sounds. And in other ways, it sounds like, okay, this is a new person here. But we made the decision to have him in the band because we like what he does. So I think people are going to be blown away by him on this album. That's always been great. The biggest difference, and I joke about it, it's like there was no drummer in the room. It's like quiet, and just I've been writing music for this band since the beginning, so we're used to John and I just being in my room writing, or me and Jordan, being when you write on guitar and keyboards, there's that kind of intimate conversation. That really hasn't changed. That's the same as it's always been. The biggest difference is you're not cranking in a studio jamming with loud drums and everything going on. It's a little more controlled, and it's a little bit more conducive to being just musically very focused and very and spending more time on the crafting of the actual music. It's a controlled environment, where you have the ability and the freedom to work things out fully and completely to where they need to go. You can take that musical journey. It's easier to do that, I find, when I work either one-on-one or just with a couple of guys just playing guitars and there's keyboards and piano. I think it's a different environment. Once you start getting everybody and the whole band's cranking, drums are going, everybody's... It's not as... I don't know, it starts to get not intimate, and there's just more stuff going on. And I don't know, I like just being, I'll be in a dimly lit room with my guitar and just getting in touch with music, with writing music. If you do that with another person or another two people on that level, that the best stuff comes out that way. No, that's the way we do it, the old-fashioned way. Yeah, we did it right here at Cove City. We all got together, and we came in every day, and we wrote. We wrote and we wrote and we wrote and we demoed, and we got very detailed. And if you actually one day get to hear the demos that came out of the writing sessions, they're completed works. There's a programmed drum on that I programmed in Logic. It sounds cool. It sounds actually awesome. Yes, he was amazing in that sense. For example, let's say there's a section of the music and it needs a jungly kind of groove. It's hard to program that in a drum. You come up with some stupid thing, but if you communicate with, hey Mike, this is what it's on the reference. However, just see what you're feeling. I'm picturing an African. Picture something that would be on a Peter Gabriel thing, whatever, and you put these thoughts in, and he just spit it out, just came, one thing after the next until it was exactly perfect. And he's just incredible to work that way. Just a wealth of musical and drum knowledge, the ability to play anything, never makes a mistake. It's bizarre. I could say to him, listen, just play harder or whatever. I want the kick drums harder in that section. Don't do 2/4, do it all downbeats or whatever. And be like, okay. And do it that way. So, yeah, the working relationship on this album, producing him and having him come in and play the music that we wrote and interpret programmed drum parts, it couldn't have gone better. It was unbelievable. Yeah, he's a member of the band. Absolutely. Yeah, he's not a hired guy. You know, obviously the details of our business arrangement, it's not really a public thing.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, he's a band member. You know, we're not. That's what we were looking for. I think it depends on the band and what they were looking for. We're not looking for a session guy to come in and temporarily. We don't want to be known as the temporary, you know, Dream Theater. We want a member. You know, like when we got Jordan in the band and we wanted, you know, a new member. So that's the point. The album's going to come out sometime in September, at that point we will do a full, like, you know, we'll start our headlining like in the U.S. and everything, where we will incorporate a lot of the new material, and the production of the show will be centered around the new material. But up until then, we do festivals in July in Europe, and we'll just play one of the new songs, and it'll be part of the mix type of thing. So you won't really see that until the fall, until the album is out and we start to really tour in support of the album. Oh yeah, absolutely. We've already had meetings. There's already people working on things, and stuff takes time. Show sets need to be designed, and lighting concepts, video concepts. People need lyrics, and yeah, so that's already in motion. Mm-hmm. Yeah, as far as the order of the songs on the album, yeah, actually that kind of came into play once all the songs were done and demoed. I started thinking about that right away and came up with something and lived with it and sat with it for a while and showed it to the other guys, and it's stuck. So the sequencing is done. That's all set. Yeah, the flow of the album is done. The first song we wrote is the opening song, which I kind of intended that to be. So that worked out. That was a no-brainer. But yeah, an album has to tell a story and have a flow, and I think it's coming out good. Absolutely. I mean, I would hope so. That's the way you sort of, it's the way I like to live life and think about things. I don't think of things as being temporary. I like to think of this as moving forward in a positive way and direction, with all intentions of staying this way forever. That's unless some unforeseen event should happen, which happens. Mm-hmm. You could ask me the same question before Mike left, and I would have had the same answer. Right. Of course, this is the way. This is who we are. This is the way we'll always be. You never know what's going to happen. Right. But yeah, it's full intention to move forward this way. I guess, it's the wonderful internet. We'll see it right away. It's inevitable. People will compare and think one guy is better than the next or whatever. I hope that, music is a very personal thing, and you write stuff that comes from a very intimate place, and you share it with everybody. And at that point, it's just open season, And same goes with performances and people and members. And so at this point, we're kind of used to that. I do feel really good about the album. I feel really good about Mike Mangini as a band member and as a choice. And I hope, but I really think that we're going to see a very positive response to him. And, people will compare. There's no doubt. And hopefully it'll all be in fun and good taste. And, to me, it's all music. There's no reason for all the nonsense,